Hello, it's 5D back broadcasting from the lab, new lab, moved house, nice place, really nice, happy bunny. So yeah, but I'll just talk about this is Deep Feed 1. Rebranding the podcast, funnily enough, to what it originally was going to be, Deep Feed. Then we decided Beeping Deeply, and I decided I like Deep Feed better. So we're going back to that. If anyone's interested, I've made 7 EPs called Deep Feed as well that are available to listen to. Search those out if you like, under Deep and Beeper. I welcome you all to 2022. Even though I'm not actually in that year yet, almost there. I do, get my podcasts a little bit pre-recorded. So this is episode 1. RDJ's Lost Children, it is entitled. If you're wondering what that is, RDJ is, for those who know, you'll know. For those who don't know, I shall enlighten you now. RDJ is Richard D. James, otherwise known as his main alias is APHEX Twin. That's what most people know him for. He's been around for a long time. He's had a lot of different aliases, of which I'm going to explore most of the aliases today, as it's his lost children. I like to refer to my music as sort of my children at times. I think this is a good analogy. Expect lots from this podcast. It's continuing every week, various different things, various different guests. I must mention, I've been saying for a while, this was going to be, the first one was going to be cutting edge bass music with Neil, aka Nilly. He wasn't able to record it in time, super busy man. So we're going to push that one back to a few months, and you will still get that in your ears at some point. In the meantime, cutting edge RDJ. Sorry, I say cutting edge. Just RDJ's Obscure Children. Okay, let me explain briefly. If you don't really know APHEX Twin, or just know his main tracks, Come to Daddy, Window Licker or something, you're gonna be like, wow, well, you might or not, but this is gonna be obscure stuff you definitely won't have heard. Now, if you're a super APHEX nerd, you are going to be coming at me with saying, this is not obscure, Nicholas. We all know, you're going to be saying Nicholas unless you're my mother. We know these tracks, these are not obscure. I'm not going to lie, I haven't delved through, he actually went on SoundCloud and dumped hundreds of tunes, I think. He's prolific, he has made so much music. So, and even I'm not like trawling through the entire lot. It would just take too long. So I picked some of my relatively obscure favourite ones, and I'm going to play them for you now. So we'll start off with Mr. Frosty. This is a track that he made with Mike Paradinas. Don't know if that's exactly the correct pronunciation. Someone who's called Music. And they did it together, and it's on Mike and Rich was the alias, and it's Mr. Frosty, and I thought we'd start with that. Here we go. Yes, Mr. Frosty there. Definitively fun. On the album cover, you can see this old game. Search me what it's called. It's him, and it's quite a clever little, because the album's called Expert Knob Twiddlers, and it's got him and his friend Mike, Paradina's Music, playing that game where you twiddle knobs on either sides of some sort of thing and try and get the balls down to the bottom. So it's quite a fun little offshoot alias that he did there with Mike. Mike and Rich there, Mr. Frosty. So I'm going to move on to APHEX. This is another alias of his. This is, I believe it's one of his earliest things. Like, as in I think he was, I don't know for sure. I would have to look it up. He might have been APHEX before he was even APHEX Twin. I think it was about both around the same time. And this is bonus EMT beats. Just some random beats, I think, that he must have had lying around his computer, as you do, and decided to whack them out for our listening pleasure. So without further ado, I will play that now. Here we go. Yes, so I am back, bright and early, like I like to record this podcast very often. It's around about 5:30. Enjoying those beats there. I've got hazelnut milk and maple syrup porridge now, and I am very, very happy with it. Nice start to the day before I go to work. Yes, so moving onwards and upwards, the list of obscure tracks, obscure-ish, we should say. Next up we have Cordeliatron, a nice name, a nice track. It's from Caustic Window compilation. That'll be Caustic Window is the alias. Yeah, he liked his Windows stuff. Window Liquor, Caustic Window, Polygon Window. Yeah, he's into Windows. Not sure why. But yeah, this will be Cordeliatron, as I already said, coming now. It's a chill one. It's a melodic gem. And I'll let it run while I finish my porridge. And select some more tunes. Here we go. Deliatron there, very chilled, showing his melodic end of the spectrum. Right, so yeah, I don't have loads to say about all the tracks, and I'm not going to bother to attempt to just blather at you when this is a musical podcast and I'm by myself. I don't need to blather too much. So I'll just, yeah, my porridge is gone though. Very happy. My tongue is grateful for that. And the next track is another melodic gem. Yeah, it's really beautiful. And here it is, playing now. Pancake Lizard. Great name, of course. That's one thing APHEX does, or RDJ Richard does to the ultimate level, is just funny names for tracks. Yeah, man after my own heart. I do the same thing, I believe. I like to put a lot of effort and thought and trippiness into the names. Just is always fun. So this is Pancake Lizard. Something I never want to eat, but definitely want to listen to. Here we go. Epic string playing. Well, I don't know if it's a sample or he played it or someone else played it and he recorded it. One of those things will be the case. So that was Pancake Lizard. Yep. Next up, we have possibly the least obscure of all the tracks I'm going to play. This one's from the Come to Daddy album. I think, yeah, which was the first thing I ever heard of. No, I lie. It's the what? Oh no, actually, yeah, it was the first thing I ever heard of his was MTV. Come to Daddy, something which I think a lot of people was the first time they might have seen about him. Freaky video, and I loved it. And I went straight out and bought a Come to Daddy album, which had that track on it, and a bunch of other stuff. Some chilled, some insane. And this little gem called Bucephalus, or Bucephalus, I'm not quite sure. Bouncing Ball. Yeah, rhythms from hell. Of course, you know, everyone likes to have a tempo, a bit of rhythm, syncopation, etc. On this track, he just went straight out and made a noise which bounced. If you can imagine. Well, you don't have to imagine, you'll hear it in a sec. If you are going, Nick, this isn't obscure. What you don't know anything about Richard. Well, you know, you're too nerdy, I guess. Or just, you know, very nerdy. So no, I don't have a problem with that. Just don't slag me off. Yeah, for being a mid-level nerd, I guess. But yeah, this is Bucephalus Bouncing Ball. Quite a unique sound. This is why it gets in here. It's not like the most famous, of course, which is why it's a little bit obscure, but it's not as obscure as what I should be playing. But we'll play it anyway. Here we go. Yes, APHEX Twin, Richard D. James, AFX, Caustic Window, Polygon Window, whatever you know him under, whatever your favourite alias is, or whether you don't even know him at all, you cannot deny that. I mean, the man, okay, basically, he has more of a skill at combining and modulating and changing sounds and rhythms and melodies and arrangement of tracks to things that you wouldn't expect and couldn't imagine but don't sound dodgy. He's just got that ability to do that. It's a very hard thing to do, and but he just pulls it off like he's just, you know, walking down the road. So I think that's why a lot of people love him, especially musical nerds. Yeah, especially people who yeah, I mean, it's just epic. Like, I don't know how, you know, like the bouncing and this and that, and yeah. Anyway, it's quite hard to explain, so I'm not gonna try too much. Yeah, so next up we've got a track. Okay, he did something called quite funnily, quite amusingly, 26 mixes for cash. Turns out he did that, I found out, because he was pissed off with his label, and he insisted that, you know, that he made these 26 remixes for some pretty big artists, whacked it all on a like 2 LP deal, and demanded to be paid in cash so they wouldn't know where he'd moved. They didn't have his address, because I think he wasn't he wasn't friends with them anymore. And it's just a pretty amusing story. This will be a track off it, called originally by 808 State. I mean, I'm not quite sure where the sound of the track, to be honest, I don't actually know the original, but it doesn't sound much like 808 State. But their track Flow Coma was remixed by APHEX, and this is it. It's Badass coming in now, and not only is it Badass, yeah, it's one of his tracks which has the sort of dancey amount. You might be able to dance to it. Don't know, you know. A lot of people have differing issues on whether you would want to be able to dance to much APHEX, but yeah, here we go. Flow Coma. Here we go. Yes, listening to that now again. Yeah, I don't know if you'd be able to dance to it. At least if you're the kind of person who doesn't normally dance to weird music. There's a lot of APHEX that I won't, bop to. I'll just appreciate. And then there's that track where I'll just start on the tube, just start moving a bit if I've got my headphones on. People look at me weird. But yeah, it's fun. It's good tune. It's more, it's heavy, that one. So something else that APHEX did more in the olden days was a style of music. Sort of some of it was a bit gabbery, some of it was just techno, but had its own sort of quite ethereal sound, often moody. You'd hear it in like raves and like illegal raves and stuff in normal raves. Usually in this sort of thing, I'm going to come on next. It would be usually in the room B, not the main room. Obviously a lot of APHEX was, he was huge, but like some of his sounds were more like, room 2 deals, and you'd get the hardcore fans. I'd go in there sometimes, enjoy it. This one in particular reminds me of those old raves, like the dark, moody rooms that weren't quite sort of, maybe acid techno or drum and bass, which sort of became more of the staple of rave culture. But yeah, this is Untitled, Polygon Window, and it's not the best example of it, but it's definitely an example of what I'm talking about. Here we go. Acid Line there, leading the track very well. I think that's the 303. Classic bit of technology from the olden days, especially. Yeah, Acid Line, otherwise known as that sort of noise, in case you wonder what I'm talking about. Next up, it's back to that Mike and Rich release. What's it called? Expert Knob Twiddlers. Yeah, such a good name. We'll just get straight into it. It's Boo 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 Ba. And here it is, running. Nice bit of chillage there. Bit of whistling, always can be good in tunes. Yeah, I think we'll have a little swift move on to Logan, I don't know, Rockwitch. This was on, hold on one sec. My brain has melted. Oh, it was on the Richard D. James album. Yeah, so it's the album he named after his actual real name. And it's the track 10, and here it is coming in now. And then from Chilled with what's that? There's a weird noise in that Logan Rockwitch. I'm not sure what you'd call it. I think it's it sounds like one of those little sort of wooden whistly type things. Anyway, from Chill back to Techno with Humanoid Must Not Escape, which was from Caustic Window. Good name. It's obviously a bit sci-fi going on. And this is the track running.
Humanoid must not escape. masturbate. Humanoid must masturbate.
I wonder if you agree with me. To me, that doesn't necessarily sound like humanoid must not escape, but could be humanoid must masturbate, which sounds quite amusing and would fit into the APHEX twin in subtle jokeness that he likes to play with the names of his tunes and some of the samples. The one that springs to mind the most would be the one where he likes to say he wants milk from the milkman's wife's tits. Yeah, I would play that, but it's I think it's quite well known. Not quite obscure enough. Anyway, back to Mike and Rich with a little short one I'm going to play now. That will be portamento. Gosh, portamento being when you slide, when the beginning of your notes slide in. And here it comes. Have a listen. Now, to possibly one of the most poppiest things I think APHEX Twin ever did. Not too pop, but quite pop. Yeah, it's DMX Crew, You Can't Hide Your Love, the Hidden Love remix by APHEX again on 26 Mixes for Cash. And I love this tune. It's I think it's obscure. I mean, it's a little bit relatively. It's not everyone's heard it. I mean, a lot of people have heard 26 Mixes. Everyone's heard 26 Mixes for Cash, but I find it's not probably. Yeah, it's just a good track. Here it is. definitive 80s vibe going on, but nicely created, very smooth synthesis, and those the sounds of the track. Definitively 80s, but definitely got the APHEX flavor. So the penultimate tune I'm going to play today is Bike Pump Meets Bucket. So it's playing now, and it's another classic name. This is Polygon Window again. I think one of his least known aliases, possibly. Correct me if I'm wrong. Answers on the back of an envelope from all you ultra nerds. Tell me, school me here, because I don't know everything. Obviously, and this is the track, and then I'll play the last one, and we'll be done. And I'll see you for episode 2 of this podcast, which is going to be UK hip hop again, like Homegrown Vibes Part 2. So it's a deep dive into UK hip hop with my friend Voodoo Brown. That'll be on the 10th, coming out on the 10th of January. Anyway, I hope you listen to that as well. I'll be back in a sec, but yeah, this is Bike Pump Meets Bucket. I don't know what you're doing there. Some kind of weird science experiment, possibly. Anyway, here we go. So we're at the final tune I'm gonna talk about very briefly. I'm not gonna talk too much about it. This is actually, I mean, I don't know if it's obscure, if it counts, but I'm putting it in because it's not a normal APHEX sound. Simultaneously, it's one of my favorite tunes he ever did. Originally the Gavin Bryars ensemble tune, Raising the Titanic, but this is APHEX's big drum mix. You'll hear why it's called big drum mix in the middle of the tune, where he just goes off on the drum solo. And I love this one. It's got samples of like what sounds like dude in school. I think maybe it was like a choir, this ensemble, Gavin Bryars, school choir or something. There's just brilliant little samples. It's just epically made tune, and it's coming in now. I'll let the whole thing go, and I'll shut up now so you can hear this subtle intro. Here we go, and I'll see you next week.